let's go to mobile service. Okay, and start the mobile service. Okay, so just right click, run as Java application. Okay, the application is started. Now let's go to browser and type localhost 8080. At localhost 8080 swagger query.html. Sorry, 8082 is 8080. We already did this integration, I believe, right? So we implemented swagger. What's up? It's not yet up. Okay. The service is not yet up. Let's let it be get up and running. Not sure why it's taking this much time to. Okay, I think it's MSK, right? Context path MSK slash swagger. Okay. So this we did long back, right? Nothing new. But let's go to the documentation and see. Look at this create mobile, right? Create mobile API. So when we are trying to create mobile API, so look at the request what we would like to send, right? So um, headers, there is a request body. Okay, why we have this much big request body? So here is the body. Okay, yeah, got it. The kind of mistake we did is in the controller class we are expecting HTTP entity, right? Instead of request body, we are taking HTTP entity. So let's not do that. Let's take only mobile, right? Let's take only mobile. Yeah. So let's remove all these HTTP entity code, right? So we don't need that. It's going to the request body mobile. No. Just save this file. Yeah. As we added dev tools, it will take a while to reflect the changes. Okay. Yeah. So now let's go back and just refresh your Swagger screen. You see the body is this, right? So only ID, name, price, status, LOB, and record. But there are a couple of things, right? So by looking into this request, can somebody say what is wrong with this request?
ID they are passing.
This ID they're not supposed to pass, right? So this is
Yes.
generated thing.
And price must be greater than 0. We have to keep that logic also.
Yeah. So price must be greater than 0. Yes.
And publication date we have to set the type.
Yes. The publication date. Okay. So let the price 0 or whatever it is. So if they send 0, we need to give the error message. But anyway, this ID and publication date not supposed to be, right? ID and publication date not supposed to be in our request, right? In our request. So the kind of mistake what we are doing, we are trying to expose, right? We are trying to expose the class which is actually connecting to the database, right? So the the class which we are using, right? So the model class. So this is we are directly exposing it as a uh, DTO class, data transfer object or value object. So this is the mistake actually. So what should we do? We should have two separate classes. One is the request which is coming from the one which is coming from the service, and the another one is which is going to the database layer. So in our application we have three layers, right? So one is a web layer, right? Service layer and repository layer. This web we are calling it as controller, service we are calling service, and repository. Some companies they call DAO, data access layer. That is also fine. It is just a different naming convention. Okay. So we have controller classes. So good. We have service classes. Very good. We have repository interfaces for to interact with the database. So three layers will perform three different actions. But what is the common across all these three? What is the class which is traversing from end to end, right? So that is what is our mobile.java, right? So that is not is actual real time scenario. Okay, so we should not use the entity class in the controller, right? So that is not that is really a bad practice. So what should we do? We should we should remove this, and we should have different classes, right? So we should have different classes. The class which is interacting with the database called mobile.java, that not supposed to be cross, right? That not supposed to be sent it to the controller layer. The scope of this mobile.java up to service only, up to service. At the same time, the data which is coming from the front end that not supposed to be put it in the mobile.java. So those has to be put it in a different entities. So the layer, I mean the POJOs which we are using in the web layer are needs to be called as DTO or VIVO, right? DTO or VIVO. The POJOs which we are using in the repository layer are supposed to be called as entity, right? Entity. So in between, so these DTOs has to be converted into entities, and entities has to be converted into DTO, right? So that particular part we should take care in the service, right? So the DTO has to be converted into entity has to convert it into DTO, because we can't expose everything to DTO. And in DTO we have to expect that parameters in integers, right? Int, long, string, right? So not the wrapper classes. At the same time, in entities those should be wrapper classes, right? So this kind of conversation should happen in the service. And before doing this conversation, we should perform some validation, right? So we should perform some validation. Okay, we should perform some validation in our service layer. So is there anything goes wrong? Actually, this validation also should be part of controller itself, because we will be doing an automatic validation, right? So not programmatic, declarative type model we will do. So this validation should be part of our controller. If anything goes wrong, we should throw error here itself. We should not go to database and get exception, right? So that is costly. Database call is costly, because in the real time our server will run on one host, right? So yeah, so your application server, right? Java application server will be running on one machine. It can be a cloud or on-prem server. So this is a different computer, and your database will be running on a different computer, right? So your database will be running on a different computer. So how they will communicate, how the request will be sending to the database, and how the data will be coming back from the database. So the request should travel over the network, right? So it should travel over the network So this is costliest call, right? So let's not do unwanted. If price is zero, or if name is not sent, right, in the request, if the price is zero, name is not sent, and status is not available, some junk data, and LOV is not online or something, or empty string or some junk data, then we're not supposed to do this call, right? So we should avoid this call. So sending a request over the network is costly, right? So it's a costly call. So let's not do that for basic validations, right? So if client is sending some wrong value, price is zero, price is minus value, for those kind of things we're not supposed to, right? For those kind of things we're not supposed to make the service call. We should validate before, I mean, in our controller class itself, and we should throw an error here itself, right? We should throw an error here itself. So for these kind of validations, Spring has an extreme support, right? So Spring has extreme support. So what should we do? We should use a declarative. You don't need to write any extra code. Spring has an inbuilt extreme support. We are going to use that in our project. So the first change, what should we do? We should create one more layer called DTO, right? So the DTO is already there. DTO is already there. Yeah. So what should we do? We should uh, change this class name, or else let's start from saving the mobile, right? So let's start from saving the mobile. So in the controller class, we should not have this class set up, right? So in the controller class, so we're not supposed to use mobile DTO, mobile model class, right? It's not supposed to be used. This class has to be used only in repository and only in service. So controllers should not be knowing what is the class we are going to use for database purpose. So let's first create one DTO class for mobile, or else yeah, first start from saving the mobile. Let's say saving the mobile. So the request is not type mobile, it's supposed to be save mobile request. So let's create separate class for that purpose. Save mobile request. Okay, so here what are all the parameters we should keep? We should keep only the parameters which are going to come from the front end, right? Only these 5 parameters. No ID, no publication date. So those are auto generated, right? So let's quickly type them. So public string name, good. Public, sorry, private int price, private string status. It is not enum type. We will take a string type. Later we will convert, right? So later we will convert private string LOB, private string country code. Okay. Yes. Only these are the parameters which are going to come from rent. Yes. We don't like writing setters getters, right? We are little advanced. So let's use a data. No setters getters. No setters getters. It's a pure Lombok code we are going to write. Yes. So now let's go to post class. Right now let's go to post method, where we are trying to save the request and remove this mobile. Right, remove the mobile. Let's get save mobile request as input. Right, so save mobile request as input. Yeah, let's remove this and do a normal import. Right, so just do control shift O, and let's keep this as small. Yes, we will send this save mobile request to service class, right? Save mobile request to service class. So let's go to service, change the method, right? Change the method. Yes, let's go to the service class, change the method. So now we are getting this mobile request, right? Save mobile request, but our database takes mobile, not save mobile request, right? So we should convert our mobile to save mobile request to mobile DTO. So what should we do? So let's create mobile. Let's create mobile. So let's add the builder API. No new operator using. Let's use builder API. Okay, mobile equals to mobile dot builder and mobile dot builder. Yes. So dot ID. ID we don't need to set, it's auto generated. We need to set the name. So let's take it from save mobile request, right? Save mobile request. Dot get name. Good. Dot price. Okay, let's take it from save mobile request. We get price. The next, it's going to be status, right? Status. So let's take it from status, but it's an enum type, right? It's an enum type, and we are getting a string type, right? So actual mobile status is a enum type, but from front end, from client, we are getting a string type. So let's convert that in, right? So let's convert that string to enum. So we will use value of string, right? So yeah, convert string to enum. Good. Now let's add the mobile LOB. Again, LOB is an enum, right? LOB is a enum like status. So let's create LOB dot value of. So from front end, we will get string, right? String. Okay. So so we populated name, price, status. Let's populate the last one, country code. So let's take it from request. And finally, build. You got the mobile. You got the mobile. Good. Mobile dot set publication date. Yeah, set the publication date and pass this mobile as input to mobile repository. Pass this mobile as input to mobile repository. Now, what we are doing, it's a perfect way of doing the things, right? So whatever we are doing is a perfect way. So we are expecting only name, price, status, LOB, country code. We are not expecting ID and publication date, because those two are auto generated, right? So those two are auto generated. So our controller class save will take, right? So our controller class save will take mobile request, right? Save mobile request, not mobile. So we will remove in all the places wherever we are using this mobile DTO, right? Mobile model. So that this class itself is not supposed to be used in the controller, right? So we will create equivalent DTO class, mobile DTO class, and we will remove we will just remove this model mobile. So we are going to use, we have to use DTO layer. Only DTO classes needs to be used in the controller section. But let's start with save request first, right? So let's start with save request. So let's start the service. Let me check why this is taking too much time. I think the problem with the database configuration. Okay, so let's add one property. Okay, there must be one property which can quickly connected to the database. So data workspace, Spring JDBC, boot JDBC. uh, okay, I think I have that code in the personal workspace. No, not this. um, Workspace, Spring Data, SRC, main, resources, JDBC configurations. Oh, here also not there. Okay. Boot data workspace, boot JDBC. Where we wrote our data JB example. Let me open that workspace. There is one property which will make a server to connect it very quickly. So data workspace, yes. It's a Spring Boot property. Come on, come on. Okay, Spring Boot JDBC data JPA. I think in the filter test I have added. Let me check. Let's go to resources. It's a Spring Boot application. Anyway, mm, yeah. So data JPA, this one ID generator mappings, right? So there is one field uh, which will avoid doing some scanning actually. So this should be fast now. If it is not fast, then we have to check. So some mapping is happening. That's why it is taking time. The database connection is taking time just due to some scanning, some due to some future. Still, it is time-consuming process only. It's up and running now, right? So comparatively, this time little faster. Okay, now let's go to Swagger and check what is the request we are taking to save the mobile, right? So this time we are expecting only name, price, status, LOB, country code, right? So name, price, status, LOB, country code. So let's send one request and it will work for sure, right? So we are properly converting that into, yeah, we are properly converting that into mobile DAO, right? So mobile entity class, and it should work for sure. So right, it should work for sure. But we are not doing any validations, right? So we are not doing any validations. For example, if you send the name null, right? So let's go to Swagger and just try it out. So send, let's not send the name, price is 0, string, LOB is string, right? So if you trigger this, instead of getting a proper validation, so you should get some big error message, right? So no enum constant, right? So yeah. Um, okay, so some exception came. Yes, some exception came, and we are handling that exception. Throwable, right? So let's comment this for some time. Okay, let's comment this for some time. So you should see a big error stack trace printed on the console, and there is a big stack trace would be showing right here also. Let's execute. You see, so there is a big error message is coming, and the class the code went inside service layer, right? So without doing validation, now the code went into service layer. So where is the error came? Error came mobile service dot save mobile line number 88. So let's go to that line number, right? So line number 88 in the mobile service. Yeah. So while creating the status, right? So while creating the status, we got an exception, right? So we got an exception. So this is not called validation, right? So this is not called validation. So we should validate before the controller method execution starts itself, right? So before executing this save mobile request, so this first line itself, we should validate our request. That should be the good validated code, right? So that is what we called it as a best practice, best validation scenario we implement. So how we can do that, right? So how we can do that? So one way of doing that is go to save mobile request, and here we can do some validate method, right? So public void validate the request, and you just check, right? If null not equals to name and null. Okay, don't use this operator for equal check, right? You should always check equals, right? Equals. Okay, it is not null, not empty. Then let's go inside, right? One more if condition, right? If condition price is not empty, not zero, less than, not less than or equal to zero. Then go to status, check the status, not null, not null, not empty.
Sunil, we can use utils method, right? Already Java
Yeah.
that method. Right?
Yeah, you are saying that, okay, string utils, right? String,
Yeah.
but anyway, if you go inside, it's the same code, right? So it will perform two operations, whether we are writing, they are writing. Anyway, it's like combination of these two.
Yes, yes. No, better. This is standard, right? Right.
But anyway, we don't do this. Okay, so we don't write any code. Okay, so we don't do like this. This is like UKG, LKG code. Okay, so we are almost like masters, right? So let's not do that. Okay, so what should we do at least for these kind of proper validations, right? Not empty, not null, minimum value, maximum value. For these kind of properties we should use Spring declarative validations, right? So declarative validation. So what is a Spring declarative validation? We will look into it, right? So let's quickly go to the documentation. um, so Spring Boot. Okay, so there is a JPA inbuilt validation framework is available, and luckily Spring supports that, right? So it's inbuilt with Spring Boot. So there are so many annotations are available. Just do Control F and validation, right? So it's not here. Yeah, validation, right? So there is a huge support is available, right? Huge support is available from Java X validation. So this is what is called JPA, JSR 330 validation API, right? So this is what we call JSR 330 validation API. So Spring Boot talks like, okay, it is available, right? So when you go to Spring Boot documentation, they say that, okay, it's available. That's it. They don't say how it is available, what should we do, right? So the in detail section won't be available. They simply see how much documentation they are providing, right? The simple validation, and they are saying use Java extract validation. For more details about validation, you should not go to boot, you should go to framework, right? So you should go to framework, spring dot spring.io. Yeah, framework, projects framework slash learn. Let's go to reference documentation. So it's part of core. Validation is part of core. Go to core. So it's not under IOC container. So it should be next to the IOC container. So validation, data binding, scroll down, validation. It's loading. Yeah. Now let's go to uh, validation, data binding, right? So there is a huge support is available from Spring. So Java X validation API is one out of, right? So Java X validation API is one out of them. So there is a inbuilt validator framework is available, but it's not suggestible to use. Let's go to section called Java Bean validation, right? So Java Bean validation. So here it is already Java Bean validation API is available. That's what we are talking, right? So JSR 330 validation API. So beanvalidation.org, that is a separate project. So Spring is going to support that, right? So Spring is going to support that. So these are the annotations we are going to use, right? So these are the annotations we are going to use, and those are part of, right, Java X validation API, right? Java X validation API, and so it's inbuilt. We have inbuilt support. You don't need to do any extra code, right? You don't need to write any extra code. So now let's go ahead and use those annotations, right? So it's not supposed to be blank, right? So not supposed to be blank. So when you see it not blank, there are two annotations are available, right? Two annotations are available. One is from Java X validation, and another thing is from org Hibernate, right? Org Hibernate validator. But you see there is a strike, right? Slight line which striked out this annotation. Will you able to see that on the Hibernate section?
Yeah.
Which means it is a deprecated. Which means it's a deprecated. Don't use any deprecated code. So let's not use Hibernate validation annotations. Let's use only Java X validation constraints, right? Java X validation constraints. Yes. So going forward, if this name is, it checks both null and empty. So it's not supposed to be null, not supposed to be empty, not supposed to be empty. So wherever you see the string parameter, let's apply the not blank, right? Let's apply the not blank. So they're not supposed to be empty, not supposed to be null. They're not supposed to be empty, not supposed to be null. And at the
So the
same time, where you
price here price should be integer, right? Instead of primitive.
let me complete, Anshuman. I'm going to say the same. Okay.
Okay.
So it's an integer, right? So we should use min annotation, right? Min annotation, and you should specify what is the minimum value we should accept, right? So minimum value should be 1. So if it is less than or equals to 1, less than or equals to 1, then we will this framework will automatically validate. Yes. So integer, right? If you try to put blank, so it won't work. We should use min, and we also have max. Sometimes you write some validations where the max value is restricted, then you can use at max also, right? So at the max also there, and you should provide what is the maximum value. So the maximum value should be like 1,50,000, something like that, right? So let's give some maximum value, like 1,50,000 is the maximum for the mobile phones. Okay, so min value, maximum they are allowed for integer, and not blank is applicable for string. Okay, so you don't need to write extra one line of code. There is a beautiful extreme support, right? Extreme support is available. So what should you do? You should use this annotation, right? You should use this annotation, and let's see how the validation is going to work and what is the default message, right? What is the default message and how the response will be displayed, right? So let's see that. So let's start our application. We are going to use Postman, so it's not it's 8082. Let's 8080 MSK mobiles. Okay, so let's not do any filtering. Fine. Now let's wait until the application is up and running. It's okay. Yeah, it's up and running, right? Yeah. Anshuman is too much enthusiastic. Before I was trying to say, he was jumping into that. Okay, so let's send the request. Good, it's good. It's he's so much active and focusing a lot. Yeah, good, right? So if you, I think it's a mobile. So we are trying to test the validations, right? It's not a get request. It's supposed to be post request. So let's send the request. Go to body section. Let's select the raw and select the JSON. Okay, let's try to send name empty, right? So let's try to send name empty. So as per the discussion, as till now whatever we discussed, right? So we are expecting that name should be empty, right? Name should be empty, and this annotation is working. Okay, so can somebody guess what will happen when I press send button? Vijay, Anshu, Hari, Abhi.
It will tell like
It will reject the order.
Okay. Others. Yeah, you try. No problem. Hari, Sharad, Abhi, Chintesh, Vijay.
It's a bad request.
Okay. What about others? When it is bad request, the status supposed to be 400. Okay. So HTTP status 400. That is what is intention of bad request. Okay. Yes. Others. Come on, quickly. There is a lot to discuss.
no, it will tell like constant violation or something like that. Like it will come in the error logs.
Okay. So we are expecting that annotation should be working. Let's close this workspace. Okay. We are expecting that annotation should be working, right?
1 second.
So
But no, it will accept. Sorry, I didn't check that class.
why it will accept?
You have to like register the with that tag, right? Then only this validation tags will work. But validator you didn't add, right, on top of the class.
Yeah. So still it is okay. I think JavaScript. Let's select the JSON and send it. You get 500 internal error. The flow still goes still mobile service, right? Mobile service. So by defaultly these annotations will not work, right? We should inform Spring saying that can you please validate my request, right? So we should inform Spring saying that please validate my request. So we should be doing that by using at valid annotation, right? At valid annotation. So now only the validation part will start, right? So now only the validation part will start. You should say action, right? Action. So then only the process should start unless you do ask validate the request. So Spring will not do. So now let's see the magic, right? If you don't send the value, so Spring will throw bad request, right? So now it's a bad request. Now let's see the response. It's a huge response. So yeah, let's just drag it to the top. Yeah, it's a big JSON response. It's really a kind of confusion thing. No one can understand, right? Yeah, it's a huge default exception handler will show the error messages like this. It says that price. So the default message is price, fine. So the price default message is price, and it says that must be greater than less than or equals to 1, right? So must be greater than or equals to 1. Yes. Let's go to the status. It says that must not be blank. So this is what is the default message. And for not blank, right? So for not blank, so the default message is this. And for name, it's going to be the same message because it's a not blank. And for country code also, it's going to be the same thing. Even for LOB also, it's going to be the same, right? So it gives the big stack trace. But I mean, things are working fine, but not in the expected way, right? So this is not is the expected way, right? So we should always give the response, right? So we should always give the proper error messages in a proper way. But fine. So still, at least it's good. We are not writing any code, and we are still able to throw bad requests, and somehow the things are working fine. But if you look at the messages, right? So name status having the same message, name also LOB also having the same message, name also having the same message. So let's not give the same message for all the errors. So let's give a different message. So what should we do? Let's go to save mobile request, and we can specify, right? So message, what message we would like to give, right? So name should not be, right? Name should not be null and empty, right? So name should not be null and empty. So let's copy this message, copy paste this message, and here instead of name it's going to be status, and instead of name it's going to be LOB, and instead of LOB, sorry, instead of name it's going to be country code, right? So it's going to be country code, right? Just save the changes. Server will automatically restart because we added the developer tools, right? So, okay. Fine. Now I think it started. Let's go ahead and hit the service for one more time. You see the difference? This time the messages are little different, right? Status should not be null and empty, right? LOB should not be null and empty. Uh, this is for price. Price we didn't add any message. Let it be there. No problem. For name should not be null and empty, and the country code should not be null and empty, and followed by some message validation failed for this request and how many errors are came and where is the validation failed, right? So this looks good, but the response doesn't look good, right? The validation framework is working fine, right? The validation framework is working fine, but still we are not happy with this message, right? So there are around 136 lines of response, and it's huge response. And if they want to see the exact message, they should traverse through this JSON response. So it's a big hectic, right? So still we are not happy, but we are okay. Still they're not happy, but okay, right? So comparatively, when we compare with the last time response and this time response, we are giving a clear message. Status should not be null and empty, and error message LOB should not be null and empty. So something is working much better, right? Okay. So now what should we do? Next step, instead of hard coding the error messages, in your Pojo class, it's better to maintain them separately, right? So let's not do hard code it here. It's not a good practice. So it's better we should create a separate file, right? So we should create a separate file called error messages hyphen properties, right? So error hyphen messages, right, dot properties, right? Error messages dot properties. There we go. So let's move those error messages here. Okay, let's move those error messages here. Good. Let's not hard code. Okay, never do this. Good. We moved, but we should create some mapping, right? So this class, okay, so we should create some mapping. Okay, this annotation, this class, this name, this should go to this particular error message, right? So by looking into this file itself, everybody should understand which message points to which class and which property and which validation got paid. So let's create some naming convention, right? So for not blank, okay, for not blank, for save mobile request Pojo, okay, save mobile request Pojo, and for property name, if this validation fails, we will display this message, right? For this annotation, for this Pojo, this property validation fails, then we will display this error message. So let's do copy paste for the remaining properties. So if status validation fails, we will display this message. LOB validation message fails, then we will display this message. And country code, right? So country code validation fails, then we will display this message, right? So this is how we should maintain. So anybody by looking into these error messages can easily understand, okay, this annotation validation failed for this class, this property, right? So this is better. This is a good readable, and we have a better classifications, right? Because we have so many operations, put we have, get we have, right? So whenever you would like to implement multiple validations, by looking into the key itself, you should understand which purpose we wrote that error message, right? So now let's go to let's add price error message also, right? So price, so let's say price should not be, right? Price should not be less than 0, right? Price should not be less than 0. Fine. So what should we do? We should take these parameters, right? So we should do the mapping, right? Instead of hard coding this, so we should instruct Spring to load the messages from the properties file. So this is the key you should give in the portion. Okay. So here it is, status, and so let's remove the max for now. Okay. So it's a price. Yes. So it's LOB, right? So this is going to be country code, right? Name, price, status, LOB, country code. So now the messages will be loading from this error messages that properties. But will this works fine? No, right? So if the messages are in application.properties file, somehow they are working, but application.properties file, let's not spoil that, right? That is for configuration purpose. Let's not put any error messages in application.properties. That is not a good practice. Yeah, so we are writing a separate properties file, right? So we are using a separate properties file to load the messages. Just quickly check. Okay, that recording is going on. Good. Okay, so now we should configure, right? So we should instruct Spring to load the error messages from the properties file. So to do that, what should we do? Right, in the, okay, so we have a common, okay, we don't have a common configuration file, right? So let's create a configuration, right? So which is a common, okay, so we will put or else let's do that in the mobile service application itself. Okay, let's create a class called application configuration. Good. Let's mark this class as configuration. Yes. So it's not supposed to be in the main package. It's supposed to be in the config package. So let's move it into config package, and let's remove this code. Okay, filter not required. So let's move this filter configuration also into this, right? So we need a logging filter. So let's what is that mean? Log processing time filter, right? Yeah, log processing time filter. Yes, filter. Let's add messages, right? Messages loading. So there are two beans we need to configure, right? There are two beans we need to configure. One is local validator factory bean, right? So local validator factory bean. Yeah. So another one is message resource, right? So message resource. So let's copy paste these two, right? So and the properties name should be error hyphen messages, right? Just to control shift O, all the errors will be resolved. Just select and do control shift F. The code will be formatted. The code will be formatted automatically. So now these two beans has to be configured to load the error messages from error messages properties file. So one is a local validator factory bean, and another one is reloadable resource bundle message resource, right? So these two has to be configured. So automatically Spring will resolve the error messages, right? So Spring will resolve the error messages from these properties file, right? So let's go ahead. Okay, let's go ahead and send the request. So this time the error messages will be loading from properties file, right? So the error messages will be loading the properties file, including price. So let's go to Postman and send the request. You see the messages are reading from, right, properties file. So the proof is, let's go to price uh, yeah, price. See, price should not be less than 0, right? So price should not be less than 0. So okay, so till now we are good. So we are going step by step, right? So we are going step by step. So the first thing is we started using we started using existing framework instead of writing, right, instead of writing our own code to validate these messages. So for these are basic fundamental validations. So we no need to waste our time to write the code, and we should not write any code. Let's use existing API, right? Existing Jakarta validator framework. So that is what is called JSR 330 validation API. So we started with that. So that we first saw default message, right? So here we have responses one by one, right? So first we saw the default error messages, but that is not a good thing. So we should provide our own error messages. So we hard code it. So that is also not good programming practice. It's supposed to be loaded from separate properties file. So we can use application properties, but that is not so I mean that is not a good way of doing the things. Let's maintain a separate properties file error messages, and you can give the name can be anything. Okay, the default name is messages.properties, but it can be anything. So we are maintaining separate, like we named it as like error hyphen messages, but the things will not work until you do some extra configuration. One is a local validator factory bean, and another one is message source, right? One is a local validator factory bean, and another one is messages. So after doing these changes, now our application, right? So now our application is reading the messages, right? Now our application is reading the messages from error messages that properties file. So tomorrow for production, if you would like to send a different properties file while you are starting the application, you can pass, right? Java jar file name, and we discussed already, right? Spring location, right? Spring config location. So messages can be passed dynamically. So for different environments, we can pass different messages also, right? By using Spring external configuration support. Okay. Yes. So but still we are not happy because we are not giving a proper response, right? We are validating it, we are showing 400 bad messages, it's fine, but still we are not properly handling, I mean we are not properly giving the response. So what should we do? Instead of handling this, right? Instead of handling the I mean, instead of giving the chance to the default error handler, right? So first of all, look at this, right? So look at this. What is the exception we are getting when the binding is failing? So we are getting exception like method argument not valid exception, right? So method, when there is a validation is failing, so Spring is throwing method argument not valid exception, method argument not valid exception. So default exception handler is handling this, and default exception handler giving this big response back, right? So let's not give chance, right? So let's not give chance to default exception handler. So let's handle this exception and give, right? Provide some proper valid error message, right? And in a I mean easy understandable format. So let's go to our exception handler. Let's write one exception handler for this. Okay, exception handler. But this exception handler for method argument not valid exception. Okay, let's write the method name public. Let's return, I think we didn't do the changes to return response here. Okay. Okay, for now, let's return response entity. Okay, response entity, list of error details, right? So list of error details. Why it's a list? Because there are more than one validation we can fail, right? So that's why. So let's name the method name as handle method argument not valid exception, and we are going to get that exception thrown by Spring container. So it's a java.util.list. Okay. So we should return the response entity object, right? We should return the response entity object. But before that, what should we do? We should get all the error messages, right? We should not write our own error messages, right? We should not write our error messages. We should take it from the properties. We should take it from the properties file. So what should you do? You should call get bind result, right? So there is a method available, get bind result. So it is going to have list of errors. Yes. So it is a collection, right? So it's a collection. Let's use Java 8 API, right? Let's use Java 8 API to convert these existing errors into our own error messages, right? So it is existing error message. So let's convert this into our own error message, right? So we can do something like this. Let's go to this class. Oh, let's remove all this code. No setters, no getters. It's going to be purely data and builder. Okay, data and builder. So what's up? Data is not important. Okay. Now let's come back. So the new operator will not work. So what should we do? We should use builder API, right? So it's supposed to be dot builder dot dot error code, dot builder dot builder. So let's dot error code, and I think um, we gave error codes in 10,001. Okay, and error message, right? So error code and error message, and the message we are taking it from exception. Okay, let's do a build finally, right? So build, you will get details object created. But one small thing, when the class name sounds like error details, okay, let it be error code and error message, fine, right? So yeah, now let's do one thing. So let's create each error, let it be converted into error detail, right? So let's copy paste this. Okay, error details, error builder. So error code is 10,001, and let's take the message from this error class, right? So error dot get default message, error dot get default message. Okay, so we are giving our own message, sorry, code, but the message alone we are taking it from the properties file, message, right? So yeah, now let's come back and say collectors, right? Collectors dot, okay, collectors dot to list. Yes. Okay, so finally we are going to get list of error details, right? We can do in a different Java 8 before 8 code also, but let's not do that. Let's try to use Java 8 API. Let's write less functionality and try to do the things in a programmatic model, right? So stream dot, yes, so you got the errors. You are using Stream API. So you are iterating each error message and converting each error message into error detail, and finally collecting that group into a list. Good. Now let's return the error response, right? So return error response dot, response entity dot bad request dot body. So the body is going to be list of error messages, right? So yes. Okay, so is this clear? What is happening here? The stream API we already discussed, right? Here you're gonna get list, and here we are converting that into stream, right? Stream. So we are iterating that list, and each error we are converting into error detail. We are iterating the list, and we are each error is getting converted into error detail object. So this error is different, right? This is a predefined error, object error from Spring, that we are converting into our own error message, because the predefined object error is going to have huge details, right? So this each, yeah, this is each of error object error. So these many parameters are going to there. We have codes, we have arguments, we have default message, object name, field, rejected value, binding failure, code, right? So these many things are there. So we let's not do that. Let's not use this predefined object. Let's configure our own object, right? So this is our own object. So we don't need to give that much information. Let's give a simple error code and error message, right? Simple error code and error message. So let's do these changes and save. Let's go to our API. So what is going to happen? We will send this request, validation will fail, and Spring will validate, and it will throw method argument not validated exception, not valid exception. So last time we don't have a proper exception handler. So that's why the default exception handler is handling that error message and displaying this response like this, right? So displaying the response like this. So instead of displaying the response like this, what should we do? We should give a simple response where the clients can understand, okay, what exactly went wrong, right? So instead of giving that big error response, right? Let's simplify that error message, right? Let's simplify the error response and give a simple response. So we are handling the method argument not valid exception. So let's go and hit the request, and you see the difference in the response, right? So you see now, right? So name should not be null, country code should not be null, price should not be null. I think the status we gave double curly braces. That is the problem. So if we remove one curly brace, that also will be loaded properly. And LOB also, we are loading it uh, from properties file. Okay, so it's a step-by-step process. You should yeah, you should understand like in a step-by-step manner, right? Yes. Now let's do the changes and go and hit. Now status message also will be loaded properly, right? So status should not be null and empty. Status should not be null and empty. So instead of giving the same error code 10,001, let's give a different error code, right? For name, it's a different, price, it's different. Something like that if you would like to give. Then at not blank, I think you can provide the code also. Some code also you can provide. But anyway, let's use a common message, right? So validation means the HTTP status code is 400, and all validations we will give the same message, like 10,001, 10,000. I mean same 10,001 error. Okay, but the HTTP status code is bad, right? So this is how you should do a proper validation, right? So when there is no, I mean, if the data is not coming in expected way, so you should handle like this, right? So it's a combination of all these concepts. So JSR 330 framework support. First of all, we start with that, then go to properties file and put the messages in the properties file. So properties file will not load automatically. So you should configure message source and local validator factory bean. And finally, so this process will throw method, right? Method argument not valid exception. So you should handle that, right? You should handle that by using our global exception handler. So we should convert default error messages into user-friendly error messages, right? Default error messages into user-friendly error messages. Let me quickly change the font size. It looks little big. So font, colors and fonts, basic. Let's put it 10. Okay, yeah, so this font size is enough for us. Okay, and we are using pure Java 8 API to convert. Okay, so you can use for each loop also, that's fine, but we already learned stream API and Java 8 futures lambda expressions, right? So let's not use old for each loop. It's better to use, right? It's better to use Java 8 stream API, right? So Java 8 stream API. So let's quickly do one more change. Okay, let's quickly do one more change. Instead of returning this error details, right? Error details, we have to, I mean, I don't know whether you remembered or not. In our country service, we did those changes, right?
Response entity.
Yeah, response entity we should return. So I already told that, right? So that change you have to do it, right? So in our mobile controller, so all the methods should return response. So that is not I mean, we should not return the direct push, right? So it's supposed to be response. It's supposed to be response.java, and those whatever the error messages we are returning, right? So those error messages should be part of response. So let's go to response, right? Yeah, you see response and list of error detail, right? List of error details. So that is what we should return, right? That is what we should return. Okay, but anyway, these two not supposed to be in the model layer. Those two supposed to be in the DTO layer. Let's come back to mobile service. So any questions on validations?
No, that integer thing you are supposed to tell, right? I think that you didn't tell.
It's int, right? Not integer. Where you
Yeah.
are,
Yes.
it's not integer. From DTO we are taking int and we are converting that into integer. Where is our save mobile request? From front end we will get int, not integer. So in the service that will automatically converted into an integer when that is not zero, not negative value. So if
Okay.
client, yeah, if client doesn't send any value, it's a default value is zero, right? Instant
Okay.
variable, yeah, they
Okay. While saving, we are converting into integer.
integer.
Okay.
Yeah, in the service it will be automatically converted. So auto boxing unboxing feature, right? Auto boxing unboxing feature. So it's actually integer, right? It's actually integer. Price, see the setter method, right? Price integer, but
Okay. Okay.
price returns int. So auto boxing.
Fine.
Okay.
Got it.
Any more questions? Any other questions? Okay. Yeah, so silence means I will think no questions. Okay, yeah. So you should, we should. I mean, it's now it's your job, right? So what you should do. So update mobile. We are taking mobile. So this is wrong, right? So again for update we are expecting ID, right? ID should be passed. Okay, ID should be passed. Anyway, this is not the the mobile. I mean, this is not supposed to be used in the controller, right? So first let me quickly create a DTO class equivalent to the mobile. So mobile DTO, our controller should always take DTO and always return DTO. So this DTO is equivalent to entity. So let's quickly put the properties: private int ID, private string name, private string status, private string LOB, private string country code, private, let's give local date as is, right? So local date or else string, let's give string.
So Sunil, for every method, we should have its own request, right? Request DTO. Like sorry, entity DTO class for request and response, right?
No, it is based on the requirement. Now let's go, right? We wrote the DTO class. Let's go to controller. Let's do one thing. Let's delete this import statement. We're not supposed to use this model class, right? Let's delete this. So it will start throwing the error, right? So the compiler will showing the error, start showing the error. So mobile is not resolved. So wherever you see the mobile, just put mobile DTO, right? So we all the mobiles was supposed to be replaced with mobile DTO. Okay, so yeah, update mobile also should take mobile DTO. Okay, mobile DTO, yes. So wherever you are taking mobile DTO, so that has to be replaced with mobile DTO, and wherever you are returning mobile DTO, that has to be replaced with mobile DTO. But our service class won't return, right? Our service class won't return mobile DTO. It's supposed to return mobile. So, but the problem here is from backend we will get mobile DTO, right? It's mobile. From backend we will get mobile. So that has to be converted into mobile DTO, right? So DB mobiles, yeah. So DB mobiles. So our service class supposed to be convert this mobile into mobile DTO. So let's do those changes. Okay, mobile DTO. So you got the mobile, right? You got the mobile. Let's quickly convert that into mobile DTO, right? So it's again a collection. I'm going to use stream. So first get the stream dot map, right? Dot map. So let's take each mobile and convert that into mobile DTO. Mobile DTO. So let's go to mobile DTO and add builder API. Let's use builder. Okay. Yes. So let's create mobile DTO, right? Builder. So ID let's take it from mobile, right? Mobile dot get id. Okay, so the map is started here and we will going to end it here. So in between we will prepare this mobile. So same way, name, let's take it mobile dot get name. Yeah, next status, but actually mobile DTO status is string, right? Mobile DTO status is string, but from backend we are getting enum, right? So from backend we are getting enum, so we should convert that enum into string. So you should call name method, right? So automatically that enum will be converted into a string. So next LOB, same story for LOB also. So mobile dot get LOB dot name. Next, country code. So it's like mobile dot get country code. So that also written string. So no need to do any conversion. And next, publication date, right? So publication date, DTO publication date is string, but whereas the mobile publication date is enum. So let's convert that publication date, right? So let's convert that publication date to string. So let's give to string. It will automatically convert it. Yeah. Last but not least is the price, right? So price very important. I'm not sure whether I add the price or not. So yeah, I think it's missing here. Let's add the price. Very important factor, right? So price. Yeah. Let's go back. And here let's give mobile dot get price. Okay, and finally call build method. Okay, so each mobile we are getting, we got the mobiles, so we are iterating that mobile and we are converting each mobile to DTO, right? Each mobile to DTO. So finally conversion is done, then call collect, right? So collect, so it's going to be collectors dot to list. Okay, so this API is going to return list of mobile DTOs, right? So list of mobile DTOs. So mobile DTOs equals to, okay, and finally return the converted mobile DTOs. Okay, let's return the converted mobile DTOs. Yes. So this is what we should do. Okay, so this is what we should do, but this conversion required, right? So this conversion is commonly required. So what we will do, we will take this code and put it in a private method, right? So let's move that into a private method, private, which returns the mobile DTO, So let's give the method name as convert DTO to, sorry, convert entity to DTO. The input is mobile.java, output is mobile DTO, right? So the input is mobile.java, so the output is mobile DTO. So let's do that conversion here, right? So let's quickly copy paste, right? Cut paste and just return. Yes, we are going to return mobile DTO. Yes, let's call this method here, right? So let's call this method here, convert mobile DTO. I can collect it. So it's a one-line statement now. Okay, so let's do the same thing for get mobile also. Get mobile by ID supposed to return DTO. So if the mobile is present, right? If the mobile is present, okay. Let's convert that into DTO and return, right? So let's call convert entity to DTO, and here we will call mobile dot get. So let's pass the mobile and return a DTO, right? Return a DTO. If mobile not found, then throw the exception. So save mobile return type void, no need to do any change. Update mobile also DTO we should return, right? We should return the DTO. So here we will get mobile, right? Updated mobile. Let's convert that into DTO, right? So let's call convert entity to DTO and pass updated. Yes. For I think yeah, this is internal private method. No need to focus, right? So with this we are done, right? Save, update, get all. Save, update, get all. So still there is some error is coming. So update mobile we are not returning anything. So let's return mobile DTO and let's return mobile DTO and pass return, right? So updated one. So I think the input also needs to be changed. It's supposed to be mobile DTO. So before passing it to database, we should convert that mobile DTO to mobile, right? So somewhere we did it here already. Save we are already doing it. Where it is? Get save mobile, right? So converting DTO to, so earlier we converted entity to DTO. Now let's convert from DTO to entity. So private. So this method will return. It's a reverse to above, right? So convert entity, sorry, DTO to entity. So this method takes an input of mobile DTO, right? So mobile DTO. So let's mark this as mobile DTO. Oh, I think okay, that is different and this is different, I believe. Okay, let's do mobile DTO and call mobile DTO. Okay, and return this back. Okay, mobile DTO. Let's call this method. So this is save mobile request, right? That won't work for us. So let's do one thing. Let's go back. Let's save this and put the changes as is. Yeah, so in save mobile, it's a different request. It's not mobile DTO. Let it be there as is. We can use that method here, right? So convert mobile DTO to mobile. So mobile equals to let's call convert. Where is that method? Convert entity.
You have covered, you have written as cover.
Convert DTO to entity. Let's call this method. Okay. So now we have a clear separation, right? So our controller class, right? Our controller class doesn't have any mobile, right? So no mobile. So controller class doesn't know what is database has, right? So what exactly the database has, controller doesn't know. Only controller talks, I mean, knows about only DTO section. It knows what is mobile DTO and it knows what is save mobile request, right? So controller doesn't know any class which is related to database. So you should also do the same thing, right? We already discussed. We have different layers. So the entity class is not supposed to be used in the web layer, okay? Because there might be some secure information while we are interacting with the database. There might be some secure information. So you're not supposed to give that secure information to client. So we should have a clear separation. So in our controller class web layer, we should use DTOs and VO. In our model repository section, we should use model or entities. So this conversion part should happen in the service layer. So that is what we did here, right? So our mobile controller knows only about mobile DTO or save mobile request, right? Save mobile request. Yeah, and the service layer will take care about required conversion, right? So service layer take care about required conversion. So let's remove this no content because we are returning some response. So save mobile takes save mobile request, update mobile takes mobile DTO, and all our get method returns mobile DTO. So when we go to the service, actually service input parameters should be the DTOs and return type should be DTOs. But internally it will convert the DTO into database. Internally it will convert the DTO into entity classes and makes database calls. And again, once the response comes back from the mobile repository, that will be converted back to DTO. So all our DTO classes, right? All our DTO classes must be annotated with proper validations, right? Proper validation. So we should do the validation before call is going into the database, right? Before call is going into the database itself, we should do the proper validation, right? So it's all about validations and the modularity best practices, right? So yeah, so with this we are done with the validation. So I have implemented modularity and validations to mobile service. You should implement it to country service and functional service, right? Functional service. Okay. Yes. So any questions? Don't be silent, say something. No questions. Right?
No, we're fine.
Yeah,
No, sir.
everybody, if you just do practice this, it will be easy. Just it's a plain Java, we are converting into one type to another type, and we are just taking care about the validations. Okay, let's quickly return the responses, right? So all our methods should return the response. We're not supposed to uh, we're not supposed to do these kind of things, right? So yeah, so what should we do? For example, here yeah, let's quickly change the return types, right? So let's go to country service. So copy this response and error detail into our DTO, not our model, right? DTO. Yes. Now let's change all the return types to response, right? Let's change all the return types to response. We already discussed this, why we should do this. We already did it in the country service, right? Yes. So here also response. So you don't need to do any validation like this. We don't need to do any validation like this. Okay, let's directly call mobile service, right? So mobile service get mobile ID. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So the kind of check what we would like to do, let's do with at min, right? At min, and give some message, right? Min. So what is the minimum value allowed here? 1. And let's give the message. Message equals to curly braces. I think it is there already in the save mobile, right? So let's reuse the same message. Where it is, I think it's not supposed to be not blank, right? It's supposed to be min. Okay, so it's supposed to be min, because the annotation is min, right? Yeah. Why you guys have not notified me? I did the mistake. You're following the mistake. Yeah. So it's supposed to be min, not blank. Now let's go to properties file and change there. So price not blank is not allowed. Okay. So now let's come back to the controller. All the methods should return the response. Let's import. Where is our response? Okay, where it is. So com Spring Boot MSK mobile DTO. Where is the com?
No, it's there, Sunil. Go up.
Are
See
you able to?
DTO. DTO is there, right?
No, it's all these are ORG, starting with ORG, right? Ours one should start with com.
No, ours is also starting with ORG only.
Oh,
No, it starts with origin.
oh, good. Okay, fine. ORG Spring Boot MSK. Okay. So yeah, so we should convert the responses into response. So what this returns? It's going to return list of mobile DTO. So let's take that list of. So it's going to return list of mobile DTO. Okay. So mobiles and set this in the response. I think response is builder. Yes. So let's do something like this, right? So return response dot builder dot response mobiles dot build. Okay, let's do the same thing here also. Okay, so let's not return here itself. Let's do mobile DTO. Yes, mobile. Okay, instead of mobiles, this is going to be mobile. Come back for save. We are not returning anything, but still uh, uh, let's still return the response. Okay, let's give some message, right? So return response dot builder dot response, say mobile save successfully dot build. Yeah, so here you're gonna get the mobile DTO, but that is not the actual return type. The actual return type is response. Okay, good. Let's get the mobile DTO, send it to mobile, and just to return response dot builder dot response mobile. Okay, so delete we are not implemented. I think input also mobile, output also mobile. So let's call from mobile. Okay, so we are updating, right? So let's change this to true mobile. Input is from mobile and output is to mobile. Okay, so done. All our methods are going to return response. All our methods are going to return response. I'm not sure whether this will work automatically or not, or I need to put it valid. I'm not sure. I never tried that. Let's try it. Okay. Yes. So this is perfect controller, right? This is the perfect controller. So which takes DTOs and which returns proper response. Okay, proper response with proper error messages, right? So all the methods should return the same entity. So if the status code is 200, then they will be looking into the response section. If the status code is not 200, they will be looking into error section. So it's your responsibility. Your exception handler also should return the response closure, right? It's your responsibility. Now let's go to exception handler. Wherever you are returning the error details, let's not do that. Let's do return the response, right? So instead of returning the direct error, it's better to return the response. So let's build the response dot builder dot errors. So here we are preparing only one error. So let's convert that into list. So let's put error details. Yes, and do the build. What's up? I think it's okay. Um, Okay, it's error detail and error details. What is this error detail and details? We have two, I believe. Let's delete one. DTO, we have error detail. Okay, then where we have error details in exception. Let's delete this error details, right? So let's use error detail. Good. Let's use error detail and assign it to error detail. Set that error detail and just import. Okay, let's add the builder. Save the file, go back. It's code and the message. Okay, the key is code and the key is message. Fine. Let's do the build. So you get the response object, set it in the response entity and return back. Right. So response. There we go. Let's do the same kind of changes here also. It's going to be response entity of response. Fine. And it's error detail and create error detail. Good. It's not error code, it's supposed to be code. And here also messages. Yeah, so you got the list of errors, so no conversion required. You can directly set that and it's going to be the response. You're going to return the response. Let's enable the global exception handler. It's not error detail, it's supposed to be error, and moreover it's not error details. We're going to return response. So let's create the error details. So let's say error detail dot builder dot code is going to be 1009 dot message, finally call build. So I think here closing parenthesis is call error detail builder string to message, close properly and call build. You got error detail. So let's set this in the response. So let's pause. Here we can copy paste this particular part, right? So error detail and finally return status is error detail dot builder. What's happening here? Why the error came? Builder is undefined for error detail. I think I forgot to save the error detail. Okay, so let's do HTTP status internal error, right? So perfect exception hand.
Sunil, just one question I have. Like, suppose here we are using this Lombac and Java 8, right? Suppose in some places we don't have this Java 8 and Lombac, and we are using still Java 1.6 or 1.7.
There the Lombac will work.
Okay, no, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Suppose we are not using it, even in like we are not using Lombac and we don't have Java 8. At that time, we need to convert all these things manually, right? Like getting it and then setting it again into this response object.
Yes.
Instead of builder and all, we have to do in our old convention.
Yes. So whatever was there till now, that error detail equals to error detail, new error detail. That's what you have to do. New operator.
That's what. Yeah, new operator, and then we have to set like just transfer the data from there to here, right?
Yeah, we started with that only, right? Initially it was
yes.
program.
Yeah, correct. What you want, that's what I'm saying. Like, if we don't have 1.8, that's the way only we are.
Yes.
Okay.
But I don't think so. Still the projects are running without 1.8, except a few cases. Very rare. I think almost all 60 to 70% of the projects are 8. You know, they started migrating into Java 11. Mostly by end of this year or maybe by the next year, most of the project will be upgrading to Java 11. Very soon.
But still, some projects are there. I don't want to name.
Yeah, there are a couple of projects. Yeah, there are a couple of projects which are running on Java 1.4. Like who doesn't want to invest money on their upgradation? So they will be running on with old versions. But for microservices, I strongly recommend use minimum JDK 1.8. Okay, if you are using JDK 1.8 or 7, first you start upgrading the version. First, the core concept is upgrading the JDK version. So minimum two version, and any new project which you are going to start now, I don't even recommend Java 8. Start with Java 11. If you are going to write a new project from scratch, then don't use Java 8. Java 11 is recommended. Okay. Maybe end of this year or maybe next year, Java 14 is recommended. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's use the latest version. You will get more benefits. You use Java 11 and write code like this, right? Var name equals to like this, then Java 10 feature. Var keyword is allowed in Java. Okay. So performance wise, Java 11 is good. So it's better to use Java 11 and it's better to upgrade. But anyway, at least we are not going there. So let's focus on Java 8. Okay. Java 8 is minimum version if you are at least starting any project. Okay. Yes. So we are with this, we are done with all the return types, proper return type, right? Proper return types in our controller, proper exception handling in our mobile service, proper validations, right? Validation and error messages, displaying the error messages properly. Okay. I will ask one question. You just say honestly, how much you really practice? In the future, all this exception handling and some filtering, everything will be moving into uh, separate common module, right? So everything is going to be moved into this common module. So it's a single place where we will have validation messages, single place where we will have Swagger integration, single place where we will have logging the request, single place where we have uh, logging each method execution time. So how much time the controller method it took, how much time the service method it took. So that is what is AOP. We are going to implement AOP also. So if you don't practice, if you don't do the hands-on on daily basis, so for sure you really miss the beauty of this training. Okay. So I hope you itself you are seeing the differences, right? So we added validations. It was not there earlier. We added DTO integration. We added exception handling. We added Swagger integration. Okay. So start doing the hands-on and try to complete at least one service with all these features. At least one service. I don't think if you really sit and do this, it won't take one weekend, one Saturday, Sunday. If you are uh, fully dedicated to this, at least you can complete one service. Anybody?
Yes, correct.
Sure, Sunil.
No, already like not like I'm doing it, not every like not matching with your speed, but yeah, 1 or 2 recordings I've done.
Yeah, 1 2 days. I will complete in 2 3 hours. I'm not saying everybody should be on the same model. No. I'm writing this code again and again. That's why I will be fast. So first time you are doing, you will be slow. If you do the same for the second time, so for example, if you started developing the mobile service, it may take 2 days. But when you go and develop the same concept in the country service, for sure it will be
Faster.
in 1 day, 50%. If you go for the next service, we will implement one more service, mobile accessories. Then you will complete in 6 hours. So if you do the same thing in the next time, all these 3 services you develop in the 6 hours. So you will also be the same speed because I am doing it again and again. That's why I'm fast. Okay. So this Saturday, Sunday, okay, we have the session 7 to 10. Don't think that okay, we already have the session, we already fully occupied. No, So this Saturday, Sunday, you log down by yourself and complete at least one service, one mobile service. Okay, at least one mobile service with proper exception handling, with proper Swagger integration, with proper validation, with proper modularity, right? So all the controller methods should return the response, and all your mobile repositories should take the entity classes, and all your TTO classes should be properly validated. You should get proper validation error messages, right? Yes, because maybe next week itself. I think in next week itself, all these things I will pull out from this service and put it in a common place. Right? All these things are not common. Validation is not common. Filter is not common. Exception, global exception handling is not common. Right? And Swagger is not common. And tomorrow we will learn AOP. That is not common. So we will take all those concepts. We will take out all these concepts from this mobile service and put it in the common place. Right? Just now I showed you the mobile common. And one more thing, we will create one more project called parent, right? We don't we don't make our services as tailored to Spring Boot. We will create one common parent, and that is what is our parent to all our projects. Okay, so at least this weekend you should complete one service with all functionalities, whoever it is, right? It can how many years of experience you have, 0 or to 10 or 15, it's fine. You have to sit and do it. Then only you can understand going forward. Movie will be like too much deep. It's going to be kind of matrix mode, right? So the things will be little fast going forward. So if you don't do hands-on, for sure you will. It looks like you will understand, but you can't. You won't really understand. Okay. So this weekend you plan. Yeah.
Sure, Sunil. We'll complete this weekend. Definitely.
Yeah. Everybody. Everybody. Okay. So please try to complete at least one service. Mobile service. Take it mobile service. Start from the scratch. Okay? Start from the scratch. You do type everything with your hands. Every concept. You stuck anywhere. We have a detailed Excel sheet each day what we are discussing. Go to that particular video and just go to that video. No need to listen everything. Go to that particular phase where you are stopping and see how I am doing, and you just implement the same model. Okay, but do it. At least one service you should do. At least one service you should do in this weekend. You should plan how you will plan. Like it's up to you. Like morning or evening or afternoon, right? So, but you should complete the service with all these features. Hopefully by this Saturday, I will be completing the AOP also. From tomorrow we will discuss AOP. Okay, AOP. So we will also have each method login time. How much time the controller method took, how much time the service method took. So each and every method, right? Tracking we will log it. For now, we will print it in the log. You can ask me why we are doing that, right? For now, we are printing in the log, but that is not the scenario. When we go to the microservices concept, so we have a concept called microservices centralized logging. So we use Kibana, ELK log stack. Okay, so we will put all these logs in the Kibana, and we go to Kibana and see the logs. So we should know each method how much time it is taking. So that is common, and we will do it for one service. We are going to use it for all the services. So by end of this week, I will make sure I will complete the AOP also. So by this weekend, your mobile service should have all these features. Okay, so method logging, filtering, right? Method logging, filtering, validations, validations, and global exception handling, and proper documentation. So be ready. Saturday, Sunday, right? You should complete at least one survey. Okay, guys. Thank you. Any questions before we wind up the session?
No, sorry, fine from my side.
Yeah. Others, Sharath, Abhi, Chintesh.
No questions.
Okay.
No, Sunil. I'm good.
Yeah. Thank you all. See you tomorrow. Same time, sharp 8:50. Bye bye.
Yeah, thank you.